Alright, it's time for the second video in my new series on supergroups, side projects, alter egos, and more. Today we will be revisiting 7 iconic dynamic duos, some of which still work together and some of them no longer do. These 7 duos are comprised of members who each have their own projects outside of the duo. Now obviously far more than just 7 exist, but I'll be covering many more in future videos, so let's get into it. I'll kick things off with a classic duo who, as of a few years ago, are back at it after a long hiatus, Duck Sauce. Duck Sauce is the New York City-based joint project of A-Trak and Armand Van Helden. The group formed in 2009 and got widespread recognition with the release of Barbra Streisand in 2010, which is still their biggest track of all time.
Barbra Streisand.
They released their debut album called Quack in 2014, but they actually quit playing shows just a few months later. They made a return to touring in 2020, but it was very short-lived, obviously, due to COVID, though they picked right back up the next year and have been at it ever since. 2020 was also the year that they began releasing music again after their 6-year hiatus, having released 8 new tracks since their return. Next up is another old-school duo, the Cataracs. The group consisted of Niles Hollowell-Dar, who you probably know as Kashmir, and David Singer-Vine, who is one half of the electropop duo called Terror Jr. They met at Berkeley High School and formed the group in 2003, but they didn't start releasing music until 2006. They both dropped out of college to pursue music full-time as the Cataracs, which ended up paying off. They were hugely influential in bringing a dance-oriented sound to pop music, hitting it big when they produced the quadruple platinum hit Like a G6 with Far East Movement and Dev. Niles actually said that he was the only producer in the duo, and that David's role was to sit in the studio and critique his work.
Okay, so the Cataracs, like everything is produced by It's the Cataract, but really I'm the producer and I got a guy named David who just sits around and smokes pot. He's the other Cataract, but he's really good at just knowing when something's there, and he tells me, now, yo, you gotta stop. And it's so funny because we go to these sessions, like we go Stargate and stuff, and they always reach this point where they're like, wait, what does the other guy do? He's just been sitting back there eating because he has the munchies. Like, what is he doing? But you know, but of course he raps also when we do music. But that's so great. Like, you have to have people around you because people will just they'll keep you focused on what's important. And so he is my kind of check and balance a little bit.
David left the group in 2012, taking a break from music completely, and Niles continued on by himself as the Cataracs for 2 more years until he officially shut down the project and created Kashmir in 2014. The Kashmir project has remained active ever since, and David went on to form Terror Jr. in 2016, and Terror Jr. also remains active to this day. For this next one, we'll be looking to more recent times with Ghastly and Joyryde's project called Ghostwriter. The DJ duo was formed in 2019, and they've played a handful of shows since then, but they've never actually released any music together. But maybe that will change in the future, and we'll just have to wait and see. Next up is probably one of the most obvious choices, Jack U, which is the joint project of Skrillex and Diplo. According to Skrillex, the name Jack U came from the idea of how the music, quote, jacks you up with its high energy and bass. The duo debuted at Mad Decent Block Party in San Diego in 2013. When the lineup was released, no one actually knew who Jack U was, but Diplo later came out and revealed that it was him and Skrillex. Over the next few years, they toured together, ultimately ending things in 2016. They released one album together, Skrillex and Diplo Present Jack U, which contained the hit track Where Are You Now with Justin Bieber. Deadmau5 hated the track and thought it was a money grab, so to poke fun at them, he released his own remix on SoundCloud that featured himself playing an out-of-key recorder for the drop. Unfortunately, it's no longer on SoundCloud anymore, but luckily someone did upload a clip to YouTube.
Where are you now that I need you?
Unfortunately, it seems that the Jack U days will remain forever in the past. Since we're already talking about Skrillex, I gotta talk about Dog Blood next. The side project between Skrillex and Boys Noize debuted in 2012 with the release of the singles Next Order and Middle Finger. The next year in 2013, they began playing shows together as well as releasing their debut EP, Middle Finger Part 2. 2013 was their most active year as the number of shows that they played began to dwindle in the following years. They played their final show at Lollapalooza Berlin in 2015 before taking a 2-year hiatus, but after the break, they returned in 2017 to play a single show at Hard Summer. In 2019, they made a huge return when they released the Turn Off the Lights EP, which was their first release in 6 years. They played 5 total shows in 2019, and they haven't played any since, and I don't think that we've seen the last of Dog Blood.
Peace Canyon! For those who do not know, my name is Crankdat, this is my brother Riot Ten.
This next one is a new duo, which has only played 1 show together so far. This past summer at Bass Canyon 2023, Crankdat and Riot Ten teamed up as Dog Eat Dog. They released 1 track together in 2022 called Own the Night, but it was listed as a collab between their solo projects, not Dog Eat Dog. Their Bass Canyon set was well received and generated a lot of buzz, so hopefully we're gonna see more from them in the future. Last is Porter Robinson and Madeon, one of the most iconic duos in recent years. They collaborated on the single Shelter in 2016 and embarked on a joint tour soon after. They made it clear that that would be the only time that they make music together because the timing felt right as their styles sort of crossed paths around that point in time. Now, Porter and Madeon actually have made other tracks together long before Shelter, and if you want to learn more about those and hear clips of them, check out my Madeon video. The video also goes in depth on Porter and Madeon's early friendship, how they met online as young teenagers, so if you're interested in that, feel free to check it out. The duo is more or less a thing of the past, but Porter did bring out Madeon at Coachella this year to play Shelter, and we might see that happen every now and again in the future. Obviously, there are so many more dynamic duos to cover, and I didn't want to cram them all into one video, so I'll continue to do these moving forward, and if there's a duo, side project, or group that you want me to cover in the future, let me know in the comments.